consumption tax increased, or 3% consumption tax was introduced, and this affected the people's living. But this is a very big chance for us to get out of deflationary phase. So there is a concern that this may affect the emerging economic recovery. So I listened to the specialist opinions, and I consider very deeply, but this is necessary to keep stable social security, and also we can promote economic recovery. So based on this judgment, I made a decision.
So until the very last minute, you were analyzing the economic indices, and the Tankan BOJ Business Sentiment Survey come out. GDP is showing steady growth. So these were reliable figures for you?
For instance, probably I would not have raised the tax hike last year, but in the first quarter, the economy grew at 4.1%, and in the second quarter, it was 3.8%, and the job offers to job seekers ratio improved to 0.95, and so I think that I don't like to lose a chance to reinvigorate the company's activities.
So we'd like to hear from you later on about the economic stimulus package. Now let's look at what the people in the town has to say.
The tax increase will mean that the average family of four with an annual income of 4 to 4.5 million yen will see their tax payment go up by about 65,000 yen a year. This person says it will be bad news coming on top of rising gasoline prices. Another says the government is saddled with huge debts and the public may have to do their bit to help. Another person says a tax increase may be inevitable in order to maintain the current level of social welfare. People on the streets had this to say about the new economic package. This woman says tax breaks for businesses may make sense because unless their bottom line improves, they will not pay corporate taxes and wages to their workers. This man says the government should remember that small businesses account for more than 90% of Japanese companies. Another man says because the tax breaks are targeted only at big businesses, his salary will not be affected. This man says the government should not end the special corporate tax designed to help pay for reconstruction. He says that work is far from over. This man says handing out 10,000 or 15,000 yen in cash to lower income people will not mean much. And another man says the increased spending on public works projects to repair old bridges is a good idea. He says that it will be a huge problem if a major accident happens during the Tokyo Olympics 2020.
So we heard from the public, and it's quite an average opinion of the general public. What did you think of this? This economic stimulus package that we have currently planning. And this is not about using the income from the consumption tax hike. All of the revenue from the consumption tax will be used for Social Security. And also it will cost 3 trillion yen to increase the amount of the pension fund. And also there will be increasing amount of nursing care as well as health care. And also towards diseases, to combat diseases. And we will also increase 400,000 daycare center capacities. And also for the local regions, the elderlies, we want to make sure and facilitate that they have better access to healthcare. All these measures I have just mentioned, with a 3% increase of taxes, for the lower income bracket, they will be impacted by this, and the money they use for food and basic items. So equivalent to that 3% increase, that 10,000 yen in cash will be provided to support their daily lives. And also the pensioners, with the deflationary slide, the amount they will receive in terms of pension will decrease, so another 5,000 yen will be added to that. At the same time, the economy is starting to show signs of recovery, and we don't want to dampen this trend of recovery that will be meaningless. And we talk about individuals versus the corporations, and I know that many people tend to think this way, but many of these individuals are employees of a company. They work and they earn their livelihood through the salary they earn at corporations. So from that context, if the companies fail, they have no place or means to earn an income, and we are exposed to global competition. In order for the companies to win in that competition, to gain profits, so that could be distributed, wages will be important. That's the mechanism we like to create. We asked 25 people of the public, and 30 to 40% said that they were skeptical whether this tax hike effect or these profit increase for companies will truly lead to hikes of their salaries, or it will help the reconstruction as well. So would this really be used for individuals to improve their lives? What can the government do for this? In the past 15 years, there's been some phases where we saw some recovery of the economy, but then all companies resorted to retaining their profits as internal reserves, because this is under a deflationary economy. If you have cash on hand, that value will increase, so they refrain from making capital investment or investment into their human resources. The value of the cash on hand will increase, so they refrained from raising their salary levels, and we want to exit this deflationary spiral, and that's why we have the inflation target of 2%. And so it's a great shift in the structure. After we exit this deflationary cycle, even if you have cash on hand, there's no value there. You have to invest in the company and the people, or else you will lag behind in a competition. So it's a different story from what we've experienced in the past. So we would like to create an environment that will urge that investment and that will lead to a tangible growth. And I think this will take root and effect soon. And at the same time, we are taking a very bold monetary easing policy, and stock prices have increased quite dramatically compared to last year. And people are starting to spend more money. So such effect is something we need to retain at the same time. And corporate competitiveness is something we need to retain that. It's not only about the competitiveness of the corporations, it will also lead to the individuals, and also for the small and medium-sized enterprises. The subsidies are included in the 5 trillion economic stimulus package, so we will take necessary measures. And you also said that you will have discussions among the government as well as employers and labor unions to realize the wage hikes. But within this liberal economic system that we live in, you cannot really intervene as a government. So it's a very delicate balance you have to strike, and it depends on your leadership, doesn't it? Yes, I agree with that. But first of all, let's change from this deflationary environment. Let's create that environment first, and then among all the policies we are implementing, let's ensure better corporate profitability so that they could invest into salaries as well as infrastructure and capital investment. And it takes time, and we want to expedite the process. From January, we asked the businesses leaders, and a lot of them resisted that it's very difficult, but many companies have reflected their policies to raise their bonuses. 65 companies had increased their bonuses by 7%. It's close to, almost equivalent to the hikes of bonus levels in the bubble economy period. And so we hope that the companies will be better positioned to raise their wages, and that will lead to consumption, and again that will also create a better cycle for corporations to reap profit, and that will also again have a positive impact on the wages, and the economic expansion will take place. So we need to change that into a very good cycle as soon as possible. We've been lingering in this deflationary cycle for a very long time, so at this phase, it's been taking quite some time to shift our economic structure, and we gave up quite easily. We were disappointed. So the business leaders will have to understand the purpose, and I hope I could gain their cooperation.
And also for tax system, well, we want to offer some preferential tax treatment to corporations which raise wages. And we offered the system already, but it was said that it's not difficult. It's not easy for them to apply. Well, I have a question about the special corporate tax for reconstruction purposes, and there are pros and cons. And the former president of the LDP, Tadamori Oshima, says that this tax is a noble tax hike, and it is a symbol of national unity. So we should be very cautious about the treatment of this tax system. And although you say that you would like to compensate to alleviate the burden, what do you think about this opinion? Well, after the Abe administration started, we increased the budget for reconstruction from 19 trillion yen to 25 trillion yen, and we will not reduce this budget at all. And the 5 trillion yen will also cover some reconstruction purposes. And so, the special corporate tax for reconstruction will be perhaps abolished 1 year earlier, but maybe our economic measures encouraged economic recovery, and so the tax revenue increased as more than we expected. And so maybe this is a fruit of economic measures, and we can utilize this fruit. And in order to gain more fruits or bigger fruits, we want to reinvigorate the corporate activities. And so this is a very good chance for us to gain back strong economy. So based on this way of thinking, we want to ask them to abolish this special corporate tax for reconstruction 1 year earlier. Of course, we have to explain this more, and some are worried about the budget of reconstruction was 25 trillion yen, and so maybe in the LDP tax panel will conclude about this tax, and the time is running out. And the next year in October, it's said that you're going to increase the tax to 10%. According to the law, it is decided that the tax will be increased to 10%. Do you think that you will abide the law and increase the tax again? Well, the economy is moving, and so maybe some concern may emerge, and next year we will increase the tax to 8%. And so we have some concern that the economic recovery path will be kept. And at that time, we have to closely look at economic indicators and other conditions. And so, including the timing, that we have to take a cautious attitude. So, you said that the economic recovery and the fiscal soundness have to go together. Do you think that this will be possible? I think that this is the only way to achieve these two, fiscal soundness and the economic recovery. And to this end, the growth strategies have to be promoted. So maybe the third strategy, economic growth strategies, are very much needed. Yes, in the diet session in autumn, we have to achieve the measures about the power policies, electric power policies, and the industrial the stimulus.